The following program may contain strong language and mature content. Viewer discretion is advised.
Hey, I'm Donta.
And hey, I'm Dana.
And welcome to the Donta Show.
What's up, Village? It's your boy Kwame, the man with the plan behind the stands. I'm going to go ahead and make this quick because some of y'all got mouths and be talking mess in the comments and saying that the intro commercial is too long. So, I got something for you. Here we go. Let's get into it. Before we bring out these awesome kings, I need you to stop what you're doing. Excuse me? Excuse me? Ma'am? Sir? You? Yeah, you! Whether you're watching on Facebook, Twitter, or YouTube, I need you to go ahead and share this live stream. Donta and Dana didn't get all dressed up for you not to share their melanated goodness. So share. You share everything else up in here. Share some quality content for your boys. Now that we mentioned YouTube, are you subscribed to the Donta Show's YouTube? Oh, you're not? Oh, girl. I'm going to need y'all to get it together. Join the village. Go over to www.youtube.com/Donta Morrison. And when you get a chance, head over to Dr. Morrison's. That's right, your boy got his PhD. Head over to Dr. Donta Morrison's website, www.dontamorrison.com, where you can learn more about the man, the myth, the legend known as Donta. And while you're at it, grab some TDS merch and his books. Yes, purchase those smutty books filled with smut. Grab The End of the Rainbow and Yesterday Clarified. And last but not least, head over to the company that put this all together, Pyro Media Network. Pyro Media Network is a proactive network focused on providing an innovative space for content creators and entrepreneurs. PMN is dedicated to giving its viewers a diverse entertainment experience while helping content creators elevate their production, engagement, and overall branding. To date, PMN has reached over 1 million viewers and listeners internationally, produced over 52 successful shows with high ratings and fanfare, and has housed over 60 content creators, brands, and businesses through entertainment and consulting services exclusive to PMN. Pyro Media Network is a network that makes you feel at home. So if you have an idea for a show, podcast, or need some professional video and audio production for your business or brand, then join the Pyro family today. Go ahead and visit www.pyromedianetwork.com and we will show you how to go to the next level. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, please help me welcome my brothers from another mother, the dynamic duo, the melanated kings themselves, Donta and Dana. Let's get it. Let's go!
Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to another edition of the Dante Show with your boy, Dante Morrison. It is Tuesday. Y'all, like I say every week, Tuesday is when I am kind of solo bolo. I don't have Dana with me, but tonight is different. We're doing part 2 of our discussion that happened last week with my girl, Sheryl Bailey. We're going to do part 2 of that. I don't know if it's kind of if it's a what would you do or what did you do or what shouldn't you have done or what you need to do. I don't know, but Kwame came up with this whole concept, and tonight is going to be another round with that. So if you are in the building, just shout out. I'm here. Let me know what's up, what's good. Glad to have you back. If you missed last night's episode, do yourself a favor. Go on over to youtube.com/Dante Morrison, youtube.com/Dante Morrison, and check out last night's episode. Me and Dana talked about music. We even sang a little bit, did little wobbles, on the screen. So go on over there and listen to some old school 90s R&B hits and catch up. What's up, Shantae? How are you doing? Shantae, we need to catch up. I have not seen you in a cool little minute, and we used to always be together doing Miss Forbidden Kissy type thingies, and I miss doing Miss Forbidden Kissy type thingies with Shantae. So Shantae, we gotta hook up, we gotta link up, we gotta go to Fridays or something, just catch up, and see what's good, because the only time we see each other is when it's come to popcorn. But we got more than popcorn in common. So Shantae, thank you for being my friend, being my ride or die all these years. But yeah, we need to catch up and make it happen. So yo, get up in here. Let's chop it up on tonight. Go ahead and like, share, invite your friends, your family, your cousins, your loved ones. Get up in here for this second edition of this conversation with the incomparable Sheryl Bailey. I'm so excited about it. I'm looking forward to it. And we always have a Dana drop, but Dana ain't did no drops in a while, but that don't mean that the drops can't happen. The drops can definitely happen. There's always room for a good old drop, a good old fashioned drop. So let me do a drop. I'm gonna do a Dante drop. All right, Dante drop. Kwame, do I got a thing for a Dante drop? Probably not. Boom. Boom, 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 the Dante drop. So I posted a comment on my page earlier today, and it basically said, if God is giving you directions, why are you asking man which way to go? Think about it. If God is giving you directions, why are you asking man which way to go? And I pose that question because oftentimes people are always saying, the Lord spoke to me and the Lord told me to do this, the Lord told me to do that, etc., etc., etc. What do you think I should do? Well, first of all, I'm not the Lord. Second of all, I'm not your Lord. Okay? So whoever your Lord is, whatever God you subscribe to, whatever higher power is giving you directions, why are you listening to it, but then saying, hey, what do you think I should do? Hey, Ree, what's good? So, Ree, I'm giving my Dante drop. So, Ree, I posed the question earlier, not a question. I made a statement on my Facebook page earlier saying, if God is giving you directions, why are you asking man which way to go? Now, when I talk about God, of course, everyone knows that I'm a Christian. If you don't know, I'm a Christian. So I adhere to the followings of Jesus Christ. I subscribe to the Bible and all of that. That is my belief. That is my faith system. That is my go-to. Okay? That's me. What is your God? And whoever your God is, I'm not judging you. You may serve Allah. Cool. You may serve Buddha. Cool. You may serve a host of other gods. You may have a lot of different deities, because you're probably Hindu faith or whatever the case may be. Cool. So whatever God you subscribe to, whatever God you lean on to get through those times of crisis, whatever God you lean on to give you direction and say, Lord, point me which way to go. If your God is speaking to you, if your God has spoken to you, why are you going to man for affirmation? Why are you doing that? And we got to stop doing that, believers, whoever you believe in. We got to stop doing that because we give man all this power to make decisions for our lives. And then we end up doing things that go against what our God has told us to do, what God has directed us to do, what God has instructed us to do. For example, let's just say Shantae. Shantae is an entrepreneur. Shantae is a business owner. Shantae has her own approach. Now, Shantae, her approach to making money, some will be like, girl, I would never do that. You sell sex toys? And trust them, sex toys sell. Because I did work with Shantae, and the amount of coinage that I see ladies and men spend on those sex toys and pleasure devices and all that kind of stuff. Coinage. When I say they are giving coin to get, the butterfly, the bullet, and all the other wonderful things that can make you feel better about yourself. So if you think about that, what if somebody would have gotten Shantae's head and say, well, Shantae, you shouldn't be doing all that, because, and Shantae's like, yeah, but God put it in my heart to start my own business. God put it in my heart to pursue this venture. It's in my spirit. It's something that I can't shake. It's in me. Now, if Shantae has gotten direction from God on how to pursue and make money to become self-sufficient, self-sustaining, out your pocket, out your bag, she got direction and it's in her bosom. It is there. And then she starts asking friends, well, what do you think I should do? Because it's kind of risque and it's kind of this, and her friends talk her out of it. Next thing we see is Shantae. Now she's sitting back in her cubicle at work, mad that she got to answer to the man every single day, mad that she got to clock in every single day, mad that her benefits and all this kind of stuff ain't what they ought to be. All this stuff she's going through. And then she questions God. God, why am I still here, God? Why am I not doing this, God? And God is like, sis, 10 years ago, I gave you an idea. 10 years ago, I gave you the concept, the design, the strategy. 10 years ago, I put folks in your life that can help you make it blossom. 10 years ago, I told you what to do. But instead, you went to Shirley over there and asked Shirley what to do, and then Shirley said, don't do it. And because you've known Shirley for so long and you believe Shirley, you trust Shirley, you put your trust in Shirley and not in me. Can't get mad at God for that. We can't get mad at God because we're not doing what God said do. We can't get mad at God for that. Can't do it. So the statement was, if God is giving you direction, why are you asking man which way to go? Which way to go. And also, if God speaks to you, audible voice, clear in your ear, and it was God, because he says, my sheep know my voice. And if you are God's sheep, you know his voice. Then why are you putting cotton balls in your ears and saying, I keep hearing something. What do you think it is? What do you think I should be doing? I'm so lost. I'm so confused. I need guidance and direction. Hey, man. Hey, woman. What should I do? We got to do better. If God gave it to you, it is for you. Right, Shantae? You cannot listen to people. You must listen to your heart. And then speaking of Shantae's business, Shantae said, baby, and it has tripled during the panorama because folks was at home. They was by themselves. They was lonely. They wasn't going on dating apps. They wasn't going on no blind date, no date. They wasn't going to see nobody. So Shantae, listen. Mating season ain't happening right now. What you got that I can use to take care of me in the midst of this pandemic? And Shantae said, it's in the mail. It's on your mailbox. It's on.
My shit. Yeah, my shit. Yeah, see.
Listen, hey. So when you think about that, now this takes it even further. Shantae got the vision, and Shantae started all this stuff pre-pandemic. She was already prepared for the pandemic. She was not going to go broke in the pandemic because she heard the voice, she planted the seed, she got the business going. So therefore, when the pandemic hit, she wasn't scrambling to say, oh my God, how am I going to make money? Oh my God, I need an idea. I need a concept. What did the Lord say do 10 years ago? Boom. The pandemic hit, and guess whose phone was ringing? And guess who was calling her? People like you that were alone and lonely, didn't want to go on a date, didn't want to leave the house. So you bought your devices, you closed your bedroom door, you lit an incense, and you said, thank you, Miss Forbidden Kiss, for being in business. Listen, I'm just trying to get y'all there. I'm trying to make it make sense because I want you to realize it's in you. What is in you is already there. Step out on faith. Launch into the deep. Cast your nets. It is out there. Everything that God told you that you are equipped to do, guess what? You are equipped to do it, but you are allowing others to talk you out of it, and you are letting them block your blessing, and you cannot fault God for that. So if God has given you direction, why are you asking man which way to go? And that is the Donta drop. Boom. That's all I got. Send me. All right. Are y'all ready for part 2 of this phenomenal conversation with the incomparable Sheryl Bailey Esquire? I am excited. I'm looking forward to it. This lady always brings the heat, holds back, no punches, and we dig deep. So we're going to try to make sure that we end this at 9 o'clock because I don't want to get fined by Ike. Because Ike be backstage, all in the private chat. Yeah, it's 901. It's 902. It's 903. It's 904. It's 905. You know what that means, right? Yes, Kwame, I get it. We will stop the show at 9 o'clock sharp. Even if that means the whole screen goes black. The show will stop at 9 o'clock. Shantae, it's Savage up here. Shantae, he ain't playing. Pyro does not play. And speaking of Pyro, if you're interested in having a show like the Donta Show, you want to be on Facebook Live, you want to be on Instagram, you want to just get your brand out there, get your name out there, you want some photos done, you want a commercial done, you want something done. If you want something that's going to help launch your God-given vision into the ether, reach out to Pyro Media Network. Just please visit www.pyromedianetwork.com. Set up a consultation, and the infamous Kwame Corbett will talk to you and guide you on how to get your brand out there and how to make it pop, booyah, pop, booyah, and booyah again. All right, so here we go, y'all. Please welcome back to the Donta Show for part 2 of our phenomenal conversation. The phenomenal, awesome, intriguing, insightful, and highly educated Sheryl Bailey.
Hi, everyone. I'm happy to be back. That was a good drop. Come on, Donta drop. That was good. I like that.
Listen, folks be sleeping. It's in you, people.
Yes.
It's in you. It's already there. And we talk ourselves out of so much, especially people of color, because we already feel that everything is against us. So any kind of idea or concept that's outside the box, we get a little like, oh, that's not going to be, I don't know. And we got to stop doing that because we only have one life to live. And if your idea fails, if it plummets, hey, at least you tried. So many folks ain't trying. And also, this is what I've also learned. The longer you sleep on a dream, God is waking somebody else up to do it.
That has happened to me several times. I'm not even gonna lie.
Right. Listen, and then you looking at social media and you see your idea scroll by, and then you all in your feelings and like, that was my idea first. Where's the proof?
Exactly.
Where's the proof? You ain't never talked about it. You ain't never said, but I was thinking of doing something. Oh, you was thinking of doing something just like that, but you didn't do it. So therefore, silence.
You got to go back to the 90s. Don't talk about it. Be about it.
Right. Be about it. Like Sugar Free said, if you stay ready, you ain't got to what? Get ready. It's street.
Baby, why you? Oh.
They ain't ready, Cheryl. They ain't ready.
I know.
So listen, yo,
we're rap for you too.
Right, they ain't ready. We're going to get into tonight's conversation. So Kwame has come up with some, what would be different if this was like this. We don't know what the questions are. We're going to sit back, and when they come, we're going to dive in. So Kwame, we are now in your hands. Da 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 da. What if Will Smith oh God. Really, Kwame?
You just had to go there.
Right. What if Will Smith never slapped Chris Rock? Well, for one, people would not know what Will Smith was capable of. Because I think Will Smith has been underestimated, and he's been characterized as the Fresh Prince and the parents just don't understand guy for so long. I think that for the Will Smith piece, I think he was boxed into being this goody two shoes type Hollywood, star that never wants to do anything wrong, and his human side was not really seen. They saw him in one side, To me, that's just me. They saw him on one person and not seeing the totality of who Will Smith is. I think also that we would not have this split down the center within the Black community of should he not. If it was me, what I would have done. You don't know. You ain't never been nominated for no Oscar. Nor have you ever hosted an Academy Award show. Nor will you ever host the Academy Awards. Nor will you ever be nominated for an Oscar. So you don't know what you would have done in that situation. Sheryl?
I think the judgment is real. It's funny to me. What if they never, I think things would just go on as normal. People would not even understand or be talking about Black mental health and men the way they are right now. Mm-hmm. And I think, and I'm not good with these pop people's names, so just help me out. The Shade Room, what's his name?
I don't know the name. I know the Shade Room. Yeah.
Yes, the Shade Room, whatever his name is. No, actually it wasn't him. It was D.L. Hughley. I think D.L. Hughley had the best comment about the whole thing. Is when Black trauma meets Black trauma, there's always disaster. Both of these guys, if you'd read Will's book, he's had a lot of devastating trauma. And Chris Rock has also had a lot of devastating trauma. And I believe in that instance that Black trauma met Black trauma. And it's really a calling for us to start dealing with our trauma. Because a lot of the incidences in our community of violence deal with us, with Black trauma meeting Black trauma. I think the other thing that I don't really like talking about this that much, but my perspective is that so many people place so many judgments on people that so many people are just so quick to write off Will Smith. Like, why? And one person does one thing wrong in 30 years, then we're quick to write him off. People are quick to write off Chris Rock. Like, why? He made a bad joke that wasn't that funny and really wasn't even that harmful. And you're just like, now I have to pick sides and be a staunch. No, both things can be true. That Will Smith his behavior had nothing to do with Chris Rock. Right. And it had nothing to do with Jada Smith.
Right.
It had to do solely with Will Smith. And I think that's where my frustration is in seeing these conversations. So the biggest what if is I would not be annoyed by these conversations and how judgmental people are and how quickly people want to get the police involved. 1 minute you're like, we need the police to stay out of our communities and not shoot us. And the next minute is like, well, why didn't the police arrest Will Smith? Like, what was going to happen?
We funded them. That's why. We funded them. They can't go and arrest Will Smith because they don't have the money to arrest them.
Yeah, and even if they did, like, was he really a threat? He open slapped one time. It wasn't even a fight.
But then, Now, I was talking to someone today, and they were telling me this thing they heard because he's just as exasperated as you and I are about this situation. And he said one person commented and said, "Well, Will Smith showed his feminine side because real men don't slap." I was like, okay, and he's
been slapping since 1972.
I was like, what? To me, a slap would hurt me more than a punch. Because you slap me, it's like, oh my God, I've just been like emasculated. But if you like just take one to the chin, like, okay, you want to get your chonkums on, let's go. But if you slap me, I don't know how to respond to a slap. It's like, oh my God, you slapped me. So
if you think about it, back in the day, like even in gentlemanly gentlemanly days, that's what they used to do to show as a sign of disrespect to start a fight, is that they would take off their white glove and slap the person in the face or whatever. I just think that this is such a distraction that means nothing to our real normal lives.
Because ain't nobody talking about Clarence Carter's wife. Or Clarence Thomas, they don't forgot all about Clarence Thomas' situation. But like what happened?
People don't even know what the situation is. It's like people don't understand that we have a Supreme Court justice whose wife tried to overturn the United States government, and he is voting as to whether or not evidence can come in and be, that is way more important than whether or not
Way more
these
important
two
than a
rich
rich man
Black
flipping
men
a rich
have
man.
beef with each other, which Black Hollywood is going to get around them and make them squash
Right.
eventually, or Tony Rock
Right.
is going to try to fight Will Smith, and we'll see what
And
comes
if
of
it
that.
don't get squashed, I still don't care.
I
Because both
really
of them they have
don't.
not lost a dime.
And they're not. Nobody's canceling Will, and nobody's going to
Yeah.
cancel Chris. And
Yeah,
I'm sorry, all
nobody.
these Black women who are acting like Chris Rock hates Black women. I don't think that's the case. A lot of comedians make bad jokes about everybody. And I think we're getting just a little slightly too sensitive. Would I have? No. But they all make bad jokes. And the joke wasn't that bad. I'm sorry. It just wasn't.
So
Not
that's
that
all for that one, Kwame. What's your next one? What's your
Yes.
next one? What if this whole galaxy picture? What if Tulsa never burnt? Wow.
Okay, so I have a question about that question. Are we saying what if all the Tulsas never burned, or just that one Tulsa?
Right.
So I'm going to answer the question as if, what if none of the Tulsas ever burned?
Okay,
If
so
we
what if
didn't have
none of the Tulsas
the summer
ever
of
burned?
fire?
What if all of our Black enclaves of success were still in existence? Go ahead.
Well, I think the amount of generational wealth that would have been provided and maintained in our communities would have put us in such a great position of power that we'd probably be a lot further. Because it was California, Tulsa, it was so many places that were burned down. And during that time, also, they closed down the Black Bank, because when they set up during Reconstruction, they actually set up a national Black bank because of, segregation. We couldn't put our money in white banks. And it made so much money that people got scared, and then they closed it down. So if they had not closed that Black bank, and they had not burned down all of our places of Black wealth, I think it would have spread a lot quicker. And I think that we would be in a lot more strategic places of power. I also think that people would not have been so quick to integrate into white communities, because our communities would have been as developed and as educated, and our schools would have been taken care of. Could you imagine a fully funded HBCU system? I think we would have poured into our own communities more, and we would be more like the Latino and Asian communities, where they have whole communities, their own banks, their own communities, their own schools, their own stores. I think we would have been more like that, even if it was more spread out in the United States.
And just to piggyback off of that, I think that a lot of Blacks wouldn't feel as defeated in America, because I think there is a spirit of why, or why should I? Because all they're gonna do is tear it down, or all we gonna do is whatever. It's just you kind of get that feeling of hopelessness. And when we have all these successful just segments of society that was just Black, and when I think about the Tulsas, I'm just pluralizing it, I think of how cities that had the gold rush, and they fled to these towns where there was oil or there was gold, and I can get rich from moving here, so let's just establish something around this. And you think about the Tulsas, those Black epicenters that were just hubs of Black power, Black influence, Black money, Black community. Blacks would have started migrating to those places. Oklahoma, the whole state could have ended up being Black. Because we'd have had that much influence and that much capital, we could just start buying out all the white people that could not afford it. So we gonna buy this and push y'all out like y'all pushed us out. I think we would have had states that were just Black states, where Blacks would have moved to and felt comfortable. But then you also have those that were pro segregation, and we talked about this last week. We want to have a whole Black-white nation. We want to be integrated into society. Let's all just coexist. But when you go to certain segments in certain cities, metropolises, there is no coexistence. if I move to Koreatown in Los Angeles, I'm going to stick out like a sore thumb. I'm going to have to learn the language because all the markets are advertised in Korean. All the restaurants are in Korean. The banking is in Korean. I'm going to have to leave Koreatown to do anything in American, standards. But you're right. We don't have that nucleus within the Black community. And it makes me I kind of leave that to the reason or the way in which we came to America. It wasn't a choice. We were enslaved and brought to America versus others. They kind of made the choice to hop on whatever they hopped on to get here to have this freedom, that we still don't have. So if the Tulsas had not burned, I think we would see a whole lot of different stuff within Black communities, Black empowerment, just a realization of how strong we are. Shantae, I'd be so happy to go somewhere and see all Blacks.
Especially being successful and owning our own businesses. I think we would also, I think the prison industrial complex that's going on now would not have been able to sustain itself because the main reason that they started what they call, between the slave codes and that transition to all these municipal codes and, laws to break is so that they could re-enslave people in the penal system. But the only reason they could be able to do that is because they were monitoring our communities. But if we had our own money, they wouldn't be able to monitor our communities in the way that they do now. And then when you have that change in generational wealth, student loan debt would not be the same. I watch my white counterparts, their parents pay for them to go to school. I'm $300,000 in debt. I tell everybody, you don't know. I'm $300,000 in school debt because I want people to know just because I'm a lawyer, I'm not rich. I start at a negative. My white counterparts don't start at that negative. When I buy my house, I'm not getting, the first thing every loan officer tells me is, can you borrow $100,000 from your family? No, I can't. I can't. So we're starting off at such a deficit. So now I'm this many more $100,000 in debt. And they started off at a positive. So imagine we started off at a positive.
Yeah.
And it's a majority of us because we had so many cities. And if they were able to build and grow, I'm not saying we would be imperfect because we were still in that situation for so many hundreds of years. But I think we would be so much further. And I think we probably would have had a Black president way before now.
Agreed. I agree with all that you just, I agree. All right, y'all. So we're going to do a quick commercial break. So listen, while we go to commercial, Shantae, do me a favor. Let the ladies know how they can reach out to Forbidden Kiss and get things that they may need to get through the seasons. So Shantae is an entrepreneur, business owner of Miss Forbidden Kiss, and it is a venue to get all your pleasure toys and all that kind of stuff. So if you want to know more about Miss Forbidden Kiss and Shantae Moore and how you can have a party of your own, a pleasure party, and that comes with all the stuff, trust me, it's all the bells and whistles. Shantae Alexander is in the thread right now. Get her while she's here because sis gets booked. All right. So Kwame, take us to commercial while Shantae promotes her stuff in this chat. Welcome back to the second half of the Donta Show. I'm Dante Morrison. My special guest today is Sheryl Bailey, Esquire. And we're having conversations about what if, basically, what would be different if certain things had not occurred or certain things had happened a different way. And before I went to break, I challenged my entrepreneur friend, Shantae Alexander, to promote her business in the chat because I'm all about Black business and promoting Black businesses and recycling Black dollars. And Shantae shared, listen, y'all, ladies, on April 22nd, Forbidden Kiss is having a dick print paint party. So listen, a dick print paint party. Shantae, I dare to ask how that goes, but I'm assuming that there's going to be male genitalia and some watercolors and some canvas that's happening. Sheryl, are you interested in that kind of a paint party?
I was just thinking about it, but I think I will pass. But I am going to another type of party like that for my cousin's birthday, so I'm a little excited.
I'm just saying. So everybody asks, when I used to work with Shantae and go to her parties and whatnot, people would ask me, "What do you do there?" You know, it's all the late Donta. Do you strip? It's like, oh my God. No,
take it out.
What do you do? So it was interesting. So Shantae, sells the pleasure toys and everything. And while she was doing that, I was doing literally safer sex workshops. So we interwove the conversation and we talked about the pleasure toys, the sex toys, and then I was giving education on HIV and STIs. And it was such a fun, healthy, and informative balance, for the ladies and the fellas just sitting there. Because, people get squeamish talking about sex and intimacy and masturbation and all that, and it's natural. So when she will be doing her part, I say, okay, so listen, thinking about safer sex or thinking about HIV, thinking about STIs, these will prevent you from being exposed, to certain body fluids and yada 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 yada. It was really fun. Then it got to the point where Shantae would say, I need you to go work a party. Because Shantae will be booking like 3 and 4 parties a night. And she says, so I'm going to go on over there. You start the party. I'm going to come through. I'm going to leave. So I had learned how to start pitching all the toys and the devices and getting the ladies comfortable talking about certain things. It was so much fun. And then Shantae has some of the baddest exotic dancers, male and female. The baddest that you will see. I mean, it was just great. And I loved it because Shantae is definitely an entrepreneur. She's an entrepreneur. And to build a business off of pleasure, who wouldn't love doing that? I'm just saying. Sure, you gotta throw a dick print paint party. Get you and your girls in the same room and listen, this, Shantae will come with everything you need. She'll come with the wine, the hors d'oeuvres and all that, even have the little host walking around and telling y'all, don't sleep on it. I know
we may have to make it happen. My cousin is turning 40.
Make it happen. All right, so Kwame, what is our next what if? What if Africa was never enslaved? Huh.
You mean you enslaved or colonized?
Right, colonized. Come on, you ain't got no fun ones. What if you don't fry the chicken in the grease that's hot enough? Stuff like that. What if Africa was never enslaved? I think we all. Wow. Go, Sheryl. Let you start. Go.
Well, in my dreams, I wish it was like Wakanda.
Right.
That's how I wish it in my dreams. I do think that the continent of Africa is the richest continent in the world, and the only reason that Africa is in poverty is because of that has been raped and mined and colonized. So I think if the African people and the different tribes were able to maintain control, does this question also mean what if that means we never left the continent as well? Yeah, I assume that we would have left the continent. Well, we were already traveling all over the world. So if Africa was never colonized and its people were not pillaged and its materials were not raped. I think Africa, the continent of Africa, would be considered the home of the superpowers. I don't know which African countries would be superpowers because I'm not very sure about where most of the resources lay. I do think that I think that America would be a third world country because they wouldn't have had the manpower and the resources to expand and to build the way that they did. They were only able to do that off the back of the indigenous people and African people. So if they didn't have that labor, that free labor, they would not have been able to expand the way they did. And they would have been living like they were living in Europe in poverty. And they were getting educated in Egypt. So I think we would have been the academic and material superpower of the world. I don't know if how we would have built up would have been like American society, because it's hard to see things after our minds have been colonized the way they're colonized right now. So without having that burden of colonization, just knowing the heart of our people, I do think that we would have been, we would have still been the type of people that would go out and help the world. And I think that, I don't know. I feel that we would be one of the greatest superpowers. I just don't know how that would look. I do think that we'd probably still have wars and stuff because there were a lot of tribal wars. But I think that without the interference of the Europeans, we would have definitely been a greater civilization.
I think I agree with everything you just said. I mean, I don't think there's anything that I can or that can be added, because also at the same time, you know, when we speak from a place of it can borderline on fantasy, you know, because we only hope that that's how it would have been. We don't know, you know. We do know that, like you said, I mean, the proof is in the pudding. Africa is a resource hub for so much, you know, and the intellect that is found and was found in Africa is proof and reason why we have so much in America, because of, you know, the enslaved and the indigenous people that were here, and even the indigenous people teaching the Europeans how to survive in America, because they couldn't survive the brutish winters of, you know, all that kind of stuff. So I think America, like you said, would be a totally different country. I think it would be heavily Latino based on the West Coast. You know, it would just, I think, because, you know, California is Mexico.
Yeah, they probably would have never captured Mexico.
Yeah, it's Mexico. California, Texas, Ireland, all that is Mexico. So I think that a lot would be different. But I think you hit the nail on the head. I think Africa would be a global superpower. You know,
yeah, and I think the biggest change would be our ideology wouldn't be of white supremacy. And I can't even fathom how my mind would work without constantly battling against white supremacy. So even when I'm having these conversations, I'm having to suppress white supremacist thoughts in order to even think outside of that box. Like when you, just like you said, like the whole West Coast would not be America, it would be Mexico. And we were already in trade with Mexico. That's why half of Mexicans are Black. Not because of the slave trade, because we were already here. That's why our pyramids look like the Mayan pyramids, look like the Egyptian pyramids, because we were already engaged in commerce and stuff like that. So we wouldn't even be against each other the way we are now, because we would have never known anything different. So it's like to battle against white supremacy, to just have no white supremacy, no white standard of beauty. Could you imagine? Like the standard of beauty being Black women?
Yeah.
Or never thinking that your God was white?
Yeah. It's a whole different ideology.
It's a completely different ideology. Reading the Bible and knowing nobody in there is white.
Right.
Until they got to Rome.
And that's why critical race theory is so rejected. Because it's really about deconstructing that ideology about white supremacy and let's just go to what it really is. But we don't want to talk about that. because it makes folks uncomfortable. It still makes Black people uncomfortable because it makes you, it challenges your thought process and challenge you for what you was raised to believe. It deconstructs all that, and it makes you be like, but I can't believe that way because that's not what I was taught. But it's the whole unlearning process is scary.
Yeah, and the thing is, there would be no Blackness.
Yeah, that part.
Like that's the
beautiful part.
Like, see, there would be no Blackness, and people would be like, "What? What do you mean by that?" Yeah. Blackness is a direct response to white supremacist ideology.
Right.
Instead, we would all be associated with our tribe or our states or whatever, and we wouldn't even have this cohesive thought of Blackness,
which is a social construct.
Just like whiteness is a social construct.
Right.
And to divorce yourself from that, that's a whole game changer within itself, because now you're not just a color. Now you become a person with a culture and a background that's uniquely your own.
Oh, Sheryl, sometimes we go too deep, and I hope we don't lose people, because, I just really hope and pray we don't, because my intention is not to scare nobody off and make folks think that we're trying to be these radical individuals. We're just stating truths, and stating how it would be, possibly if to Kwame's question, and I hope that folks are still engaged and like, you know what, I never thought of it that way. Because it's all about education. It's all about enlightenment. That's really what it's all about. Don't be scared to unlearn some things and pull in some new things to get and have critical thought, critical conversation. And it's sad that, unfortunately, those kind of conversations aren't welcome. Thank you, Auntie Weezy. Thank you. And it's sad that those kind of conversations aren't welcome, because I think that we need to change the paradigm of how we educate our kids, especially Black kids that have to sit in these spaces where they're not affirmed, they're not empowered, and I love when I see a little Black kid really just grasping, like, where am I from? I want to know more about it. Please teach me. And the parents need to understand, you got to do your part, because the only way we're going to break these cycles is to have these critical conversations about Blackness. For one, that's a social construct, about racism, race, social construct, and go all the way back to the core. And I love how you said, has anybody, like those of you watching, have you stopped to think, Egypt, Mayan ruins, pyramids, wasn't no telephone, wasn't no social media. How did they build the same kind of structure? So there had to be some kind of communication. There had to be somebody that stepped foot on somebody's soil and said, hey, we got something on our land that you guys might benefit from. Go this way and make it like this. How did that connection occur? So, and I love how you brought that to light, because those are the kind of questions I want little kids to ask their teachers. And I want the teacher to be able to explain it in a way that the kid is going to say, so you mean to tell me that my great probably sailed to Mexico and met with Jose's great. Well, well, Miss Abernathy, where were the white people? We're not going to talk about that right now. You're suspended. Because this is all people of color that are doing these great things, and we need to empower our youth of color and let them know that greatness is in you. It's always been in you, period.
And that's also why they always try to make movies where anything that happens in Africa or anything that was created in Africa was done by aliens. Because the premise is that in order for white supremacy to work, you have to believe that white people are superior and Black people are inferior, and that slavery was okay because they saved people in their huts that had no skills, and we gave them skills. But that's not the story. That's not the truth.
Right.
So, and I think also the reason why this conversation is also important is because of a conversation that's happening right now. The United States, California, is trying to do reparations. They're trying to they have a committee for reparations, and even I just messed up my hair. And even Biden has a committee for reparations. And one of the questions that came out and what they just voted for is they said this is we are limiting reparations to direct descendants of slaves. And everybody, the Black people, were all like, yeah, that's what's supposed to happen. I mean, I don't want the Africans to just come over here and get slave, reparations. And so I just pondered a riddle. Who's going to prove? How are you going to prove it? It's a burden. You didn't cause the harm. Your people weren't taken.
Right.
You didn't take your people off from Africa and put it on ships and put in slaves, destroy records, rip mothers away from babies. How are you supposed to prove it? But when you divide people.
Yeah, our ancestry.com. I got to go with my sheet that shows I'm from Benin.
Yes. And what does that mean? What Black person?
Right.
Very few are going to be able to prove without a lot of money that they came from direct descendants of slaves.
Right. Millions.
Yes. Millions. And Americans went to Africa and pillaged Africa. So you owe Africans too. So my thing is, and this is a conversation I have with people, is I don't care who pay. You all owe. So why is it on the onus on the victim to figure out who owes me money?
Right.
You guys conspire to, this is what they would say in the law. You conspire together to commit the crime. So you all owe restitution or reparations.
Period.
So I'm not going to be over here fighting about whether Africans get it, British Black people get it, American Black people get it, Panamanian Black people get it. You owe us all. All of uno.
Yeah. How about whoever ain't white get paid? Whoever ain't white get paid. Period.
You need to, everybody, you guys decide amongst yourself who paying what, but run all of us a check.
Run my money. Yeah.
Falling for this okie doke.
These
are why you have to stop thinking and stuff. You just start tapping on the keyboard and making these comments. Ask a question. Who gonna prove it? How are you gonna prove that you own this check? Because they're gonna be like, well, who was your slave master? How the hell are you supposed to know?
Right, Mr. Morris.
You the one that's
I'm Morris' son. So whoever Bob Morris, because I'm Morris' son. So I'm Morris's son. So that's all I know. So you go find Billy Morris, and that's who bought my grandfather, and I'm Morris' son. There you go. Yeah.
So I'm just saying we need to. That's why we have to have critical thinking skills. Is because when they pose these questions, they get us to fight amongst each other instead of us saying we're not gonna fight amongst each other. You did this. You owe us all. Pay us all. I don't care if you got to get Europe involved. Everybody involved. We want our money.
Yes. And we have to be unified in that. That's the problem. We got to be unified in that argument. We got to stand together, linked arm in arm, say, no, we're not divided on this. You owe us all. I don't care if they biracial or whatever. It's Blackness in there from Africa that's there. So period, point blank.
And anybody Black that comes here now starts feeling the racism here. So you owe me for racism that I felt here too.
Right. If you from Ireland, get out the line. If you from Scotland, get out the line. Sorry, get out the line. So I get
give us our diamonds back, Shantae.
Right. Right.
What about the oil? What about the stuff that's in these cell phones that's killing these little kids?
Period. Oh, sure done got riled up, y'all. We got one more question.
I'm sorry,
What's up, sis? We got one more question to go. Let's get, because we didn't get the last question last week, Cheryl, because you got all riled up and flustered. So let's get the last question, Kwame. Come on. What if white people were enslaved? Enslaved by who? Black people? Native Americans? Latinos, enslaved by who? Because they did a whole lot of enslaving. So for the sake of this conversation, I'm going to assume Kwame is saying, what if white people were enslaved by Africans? And were they enslaved in Africa, or were they enslaved here in Native America? So did we go to Europe? Did we go to London and Paris to get the white people and pull them back on down to Africa and enslave them there? What's the question, Kwame? Because me and Cheryl can unpack this all kind of different ways.
I can unpack this very quickly. They would not make it. They are a frail and fragile people. And we don't have the heart to enslave nobody, not like the way they did us.
That's what I was going to say.
The truth of the matter is
the heart to enslave people like that.
Yeah, it was a different, that's what people don't understand. Like there was always slavery, but this was a different type of slavery.
Yeah, this was
Chattel
brutal.
slavery, and what they try to tell you is, well, black people enslaved black people. No, like when you won a war, you got to take the people, but the people
Right.
lived and they paid taxes and
Yeah.
all this type of stuff. They were called
Yeah.
slaves, but they were really more like employees. And
Right.
then if somebody else won, then they got to go, you know, it's a different type of slavery than chattel slavery.
Right.
So if we chattel slaved white people, I think it's just, I don't think black people just wouldn't do it. I just don't think we have that kind of mentality. We were more of a communal community, not an individualistic community. White people actually enslaved white people in a chattel type slavery until they got African slaves, African people who they enslaved. And then they changed the slavery of white people into indentured servitude, so that the black people that they brought over and the white people who are already enslaved would not feel like they were on the same level. So they told the white people like, hey, you're going to be an indentured servant, so you only have to work like 7 to 10 years. So don't get in cahoots with these people, because then that's going to ruin your chances to be free. And if we were that way to enslave white people, I think they'd be in the same position we are. It's the same psychological trauma. It's the same PTSD. I physically think that, because I'm not trying to say black people I don't believe that God made superior people and inferior people. That's not my belief.
I don't believe that.
But I do believe that your body adapts to whatever conditions you are in.
Yes.
And because white people were in Europe in a colder environment, that's why their skin became pale. And because they didn't have as much food, they were not in the same type of shape. And since they couldn't sustain themselves in America, they had to rely on the indigenous people and the black enslaved people to survive. I don't think they could survive chattel slavery. I just don't think they were strong enough.
And that's physically. Physically, yeah. And I also think that, I mean, I think you tapped on something that I kind of look at, like the heart. And I look at black people, and you know, we're often accused of being too forgiving. You know, we're always giving somebody a pass. And I've sat back and pondered, is that just our nature? You know, is that just who we are? You know, and should we demonize each other for having such a forgiving heart, or having such a like, well, we'll get over it. We've come over so many other obstacles. We'll get over this too. You know, we're very resilient, but we're also tired. You know, we are tired, but I go back to Africa, and that's why I can't wait to go to Africa in May to really feel the energy and the vibe, you know, of home. And like, well, what is true? What is it to be African? You know, how does that feel? You know, and I look at some of the stuff we've had to endure, even throughout the pandemic. You know, we had civil unrest in the midst of a pandemic, and how we still had to persevere through that, and how we had this compassionate heart even in the midst of that. So it makes me wonder, is that just who we are? And I can't answer that on behalf of all black people, because there are black people that ain't trying to forgive nobody. It's like, you know, F them and feed them after birth. I don't care, you know. So it's just like, you know, but it makes you wonder, what is it about us? You know, and some folks say, well, it's because y'all, you know, y'all Christians and y'all didn't. I don't even think religion has anything to do with it. You know, I think it's just innately something within us as a people that we just don't have the heart to do to them what they did to us.
And that doesn't mean like there wasn't cruelty. Like there were raging tribal wars and all these other type of such. Yeah, but I just think that there takes a special kind of, I don't want to say evil, but a special kind of, you are like, one of the theories is that because Caucasians lived in such a harsh land and they were had to survive, that they developed this harsh mentality that anything will work. Whereas when you live in a plush land that has everything, you don't develop that ideology that anything will do in order to get what you need. So one thing will cause you to commit murder, where another thing will be like, well, you know, even if you hurt somebody else, you know, we can try to work it together as elders in the community. Even if we're going to war, there's still, we don't touch the women and we don't touch the children. We don't do these type of things. So I just think there's, when you're raised in famine versus when you're raised in abundance, your ideology is different. Just like our people, now that we're being raised in famine, our ideology is more of survival instead of living. And that's when we get to the point where we have to do whatever it takes to survive.
I get it.
Yeah.
Y'all, that was the benediction. Do whatever it takes. Do whatever it takes to survive. So listen, hey, that was part 2 of this conversation. Yo, like I told you at the top of the show, Sheryl keeps it 100. Sheryl is, listen, all about us. And by us, I mean people that looks like, just that melanin, just melanated people. And I think that one thing I love about us is that we do know how to come together and we do know how to embrace one another. Even if it's on the Dante Show, in this chat. Even in this chat, we promote Blackness. We love Blackness. We affirm Blackness. We support Blackness. We push Black entrepreneurs. I love that the Dante Show is being hosted, produced, and all that by a Black network. Pyro is Black, and I love giving my money to Black people. I love supporting Black businesses. I don't care when people say, oh, we just ghetto. We just this, we just that. That's our culture. Period. If you go to a soul food restaurant, if they serving Kool-Aid, guess what you're going to buy? Kool-Aid, because that's the culture of that restaurant. You ain't going to say it's ghetto because you grew up drinking Kool-Aid, sis. Stop trying to be grand. So we got to learn to embrace each other. Love each other.
That's a form of white supremacy too.
Blackness. Yes. Get rid of that white supremacist construct that you were raised up in. I'm wrapping up, Kwame. I love when my cousin Keisha comes out here to visit. She lives in Arizona, and she is like, when I come to LA, take me somewhere Black. I don't care what we do. I just want to sit around Black people. I want to just see us, and I want to see how we move, how we talk, how we do this, how we do that. I want to see it, and I love her for that, because she's like, I'm around white people all the time. Let me see us. So y'all, the Dante Show is all about Blackness. The Dante Show is not racist, because Blacks can't be racist. I'm not even prejudiced. I'm just Black. And I love Black people. That means I love y'all. So if you are Black and you are watching, I love you, and there's nothing you can do about it. So make sure to follow the Dante Show on YouTube. Go to youtube.com/Dante Morrison. Keep it Black. youtube.com/Dante Morrison. Follow me on Instagram, Dante_Morrison. And just make sure to follow your Black friends who got their Black businesses. Let's recycle these Black dollars. If your friend is selling something on social media, support them, push them. Your friend got a clothing line. They make shea butter. They do whatever they do. Support them. Push it out there. It takes nothing to share. It takes nothing to ask others to support. It takes nothing to lift us up. It is free to share. So let's start sharing the love within the Black community. That wraps up tonight's episode. I will see y'all next week for another round with my boy Dana Dane. We're going to have some more phenomenal guests throughout the month of April. I'm looking forward to just continue this conversation. Sure, you're always welcome to come back, because I love all things Black. So when everyone comes back, just let Kwame and the Power family know. So y'all be safe until next week. Take care. God bless and good night.